Welcome to Fett's Legacy, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Luthen and how he could potentially be a Jedi. But guys, before we get into that, I just want to say a quick thank you for all the continued support. If you guys are enjoying this content, please hit that like button and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And if you guys want to see more of my future uploads, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of them. But guys, let's get straight into the video. So why do some people think Luthen is a Jedi? Well, we can actually take a look at the latest episode of Andor for this. When he visits Saw Gerrera, he is actually carrying something which to some people looks like a lightsaber hilt. And we have actually seen a different version of this in the earlier episodes of Andor, which is a metal retractable staff. And this one looks more like a wooden one. Now this could just be another staff that he likes to carry, or it could be a staff with a separate function when it doesn't have a kyber crystal in it. So it could be a staff, and then when you put a kyber crystal in it, maybe it turns into a lightsaber, and you can activate it that way. And we do know that he actually gives a kyber crystal to Andor. Now, many people don't really have kyber crystals. It's a very rare and valuable resource in the Star Wars galaxy, and very hard to find. And if you do have one, you're most likely not carrying it on your person. So we do see him give it to Andor to do the Aldhani raid, and he says to him it's worth a ridiculous amount of credits, but to him it's priceless. So it seems that Luthen has some sort of attachment or sentimental value with this kyber crystal, which could mean that he is a Jedi and it is his kyber crystal, or it was someone else's that he was friends with or had a relationship with, and that could explain why he carries it around on him at all times. And as well, since the mass execution of the Jedi during Order 66, there's a pretty good chance that kyber crystals are not viewed the same as they once were during the time of the Jedi, as back then they were viewed as a precious resource for Jedi and Sith alike for their lightsabers, and potentially now they're viewed as something even more valuable after many of them were slaughtered, and maybe something of a keepsake from that time. Now, another reason that people are speculating Luthen could be a Jedi is because of his shop. And we have seen in multiple shots before that in his shop he has many different things from different eras, a lot of antiques, but most notably things like a mask that looks like Plo Koon's mask. But guys, I'm pretty sure this isn't Plo Koon's mask, mostly because during Order 66 it was pretty sad to see, but Plo Koon was actually shot down and blown up in his Jedi Starfighter, and also that's just a common mask for the Keldor to use. He also has a Jedi Temple Guard helmet, which is pretty significant to see, as I'm sure the Empire would have collected most of that stuff from the Jedi Temple, so I'm not sure exactly how he got his hands on that, but, you know, maybe he was a Jedi Temple Guard himself. Also, guys, he has some Jedi and Sith holocrons, as well as some Sith armor, which looks like Starkiller's armor, which we did talk about before. Now, the holocrons are significant because it is especially hard for people, even Jedi and Sith, to get their hands on holocrons. So for the average person to be able to get their hands on that and keep it, especially when Palpatine and Vader might be out there looking for these sort of things, it is pretty surprising to see. So this is a good hint to Luthen being a Jedi, and maybe explains how he got those. One other thing is that in episode 10, when Luthen is talking to Lonnie in the lower levels of Coruscant, he says to him, "I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago, from which there is only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do." And now, if you guys don't know, at this point in the story, Andor is taking place 15 years after Revenge of the Sith, so 15 years after Order 66. And so people are speculating that he was a Jedi, probably witnessed all of his friends die, and then he came up with this way to stop the Empire and start the rebellion. Now, those are some very good points on why Luthen could be a Jedi, and I do think that it is possible. There are also some very good counter-arguments for why he is not one. When he visits Saw Gerrera and hands over his hilt or staff, his men do inspect it, and I feel like if they saw a button to press, they would have pressed it and saw it ignite, or realized that it's a lightsaber at least. So that is definitely one reason. Also, many Jedi have a very special bond with their kyber crystals, barring Anakin, of course.
Next time, try not to lose it.
Yes, Master.
This weapon is your life.
And many of them would not just hand it over to someone going to do a very dangerous mission. And so I highly doubt that if he was a Jedi, he would have given it to Andor, when he knew he was going on basically a suicide mission on Aldhani. And also coming back to what he says to Lonnie, an equation that he wrote 15 years ago, that could also just be once the Empire came into power and he realized what's going on and what happened, he definitely could have came up with this plan even if he wasn't a Jedi and didn't witness Order 66. Many people who understood politics and understood the galaxy as a whole and the Republic knew what was going on, and maybe he was friends or connected to a few Jedi and knew that the Emperor was not who he seemed and that this Empire is not what it seems and not actually good for the galaxy. He could have known that definitely back then if he was connected to some Jedi, which we do get hints of since he has Jedi holocrons, Sith holocrons, and even a Jedi Temple Guard mask. So it is very possible that he just had a relationship or was friends with some Jedi at some capacity and actually has a connection to them to where he knew more than the average person, and he's very deeply connected to every part of the galaxy. And I'm not sure how well connected he was back then, but if anyone would know what the Emperor is really up to and what the Empire actually stands for, it would probably be Luthen, just seeing what he knows and has now. It is also possible that he could have been a Guardian of the Will like Chirrut Imwe in Rogue One, or he could be a part of the Church of the Force. And this is definitely a possibility, but just based off of his personality, I'm not sure if that's the case, but it is definitely a possibility that he was a former Guardian of the Will or a part of the Church of the Force. And guys, the last reason is actually out of universe, and it is because the show director and writer Tony Gilroy has actually said that he wants to do a show with no Sith and no Jedi, and he's actually not really a big fan of Star Wars and kind of wanted to avoid all that. He's also said that he wants this show to avoid all kinds of fan service, and you know my thoughts on that. I don't think that, Star Wars characters should be referred to as fan service. Those are just main Star Wars characters in the overarching universe. And so this could potentially explain why we don't see, Vader, Palpatine, even we don't get really any Jedi or Sith or even that many characters connecting it to the overarching Star Wars galaxy. And I know it is an out-of-universe explanation, but it definitely is a factor that Tony Gilroy doesn't really want Jedi and Sith in the show. And so for Luthen, a major part of the show, I think that he created, he probably wouldn't connect it back to him being a Jedi in any way. So that's just another reason why I do not think that Luthen is a Jedi. But guys, tell me what you think down in the comment section below. Was Luthen a former Jedi? Was he a part of the Church of the Force or a Guardian of the Will? Or is he just some really smart, connected man starting the Rebel Alliance? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.